Hello and welcome. You're watching WION World as One. Thank you so much for staying with us. My name is Hemkar Saroya and this is World DNA. Let's get started with what we've lined up for you on the show today. India extends closure of its airspace for Pakistani aircraft by another month till the 23rd of June. Ban includes aircraft owned by or leased by Pakistani airlines and the military flights.
A nation that makes no distinction between terrorists and civilians has no credentials to speak about protecting civilians. Mr. President, at the outset, let me thank you for convening this annual open debate today on the important theme.
India slams Pakistan at the UNSC, questioning its moral authority to speak on civilian protection during armed conflict. Calls out Islamabad for its duplicity and long record of sponsoring terrorism. After Operation Sindoor, Germany supports India's war on terrorism. German Foreign Minister says New Delhi has the right to defend itself, condemns the Pahalgam terror attack at a joint press conference with External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar in Berlin. A knife attack in Germany's Hamburg city leaves at least 12 people injured, with some of them in life-threatening condition. Police say a 39-year-old German woman arrested at the scene for stabbing. Russia says it will send Ukraine its terms for a peace settlement once a major prisoner swap between the two is complete. Both sides exchanged 390 people each on Friday in the first part of the swap. A judge suspends the Trump administration's move to block Harvard from enrolling and hosting foreign students after the prestigious university sued, calling this action unconstitutional. Trump proposes a 50% tariff on all EU imports starting the 1st of June, saying trade talks have stalled. Markets reacted sharply, with the European stocks falling 2% and the US futures sliding as Trump declares he's not looking for a deal. A Paris court hands jail sentences of up to 3 years to a gang of robbers who stole $10 million in jewelry from reality TV star Kim Kardashian in Paris in 2016. Kardashian thanks France for pursuing justice. Novak Djokovic is just one win away from clinching his 100th ATP Tour title. The 24-time Grand Slam champion overcomes Cameron Norrie to reach the final of the Geneva Open. At a high-level Security Council debate in New York, India's permanent representative took aim at Islamabad's record on terrorism, calling its participation in this debate on civilian protection an affront to the international community. India's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Harish Parvathanini, slammed Pakistan and said that a nation that makes no distinction between terrorists and civilians has no credentials to speak about protecting civilians.
India has experienced decades of Pakistani-sponsored terrorist attacks across our borders. For such a nation to even participate in a discussion on protection of civilians is an affront to the international community. A nation that makes no distinction between terrorists and civilians has no credentials to speak about protecting civilians.
His remarks came after Pakistan's ambassador at the UN, Asim Iftikhar Ahmad, rigged the Kashmir issue, spoke about the recent conflict between the two nations. India's strong response to terrorism has found backing from global partners, particularly Germany, which voiced support for India's right to defend itself, especially in the aftermath of its Operation Sindoor counter-strike.
We very much welcome the fact that a ceasefire has now been reached after the military exchange of blows and India's right to defend itself against terrorism. It is now crucial that this ceasefire remains stable and that dialogue takes place in order to find bilateral solutions to the conflict, taking into account the vital interests of both sides. This naturally and self-evidently includes effective cooperation in the fight against terrorism.
Bei der Bekämpfung des Terrorismus.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar reiterated India's firm stance on terrorism and said that India will deal with Pakistan bilaterally.
India has zero tolerance for terrorism. India will never give in to nuclear blackmail. And India will deal with Pakistan purely bilaterally. There should be no confusion in any quarter in that regard. We also value Germany's understanding that every nation has the right to defend itself against terrorism.
Meanwhile, an all-party Indian parliamentary delegation led by Kani Modi is currently in Moscow to brief Russian lawmakers on the ground situation.
A lot of misinformation which has been spread, and also that a narrative that Pakistan is a nuclear power has also been repeated many times, and a lot of misinformation about the attacks which happened have been reached out to many countries and also in the social media. So we just wanted to clarify what the truth was and what actually happened, and what that India is. We wanted to specifically give the message that India refuses to be blackmailed by the threat of nuclear weapons. We will fight for our integrity. We will stand as one against terror attacks.
Tensions between New Delhi and Islamabad have been ongoing since a tourist massacre on the 22nd of April in India's Pahalgam left 26 civilians dead. In retaliation, India launched Operation Sindoor and targeted 9 terror sites in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. While a ceasefire between the two nations has brought some calm, India has made it clear that it will not tolerate terrorism and any future act of terror will be seen as an act of war. And India is gearing up to take strong action against Pakistan at the global level. At the next FATF plenary in June, India plans to push for Pakistan's re-entry into the grey list on account of Pakistan's continuing efforts to fund terror. India has cited evidence of Pakistan's continued support for terrorist groups like Lashkar-e-Toiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. This comes after the Pahalgam terror attack on the 22nd of April that killed 26 civilians. If reinstated, grey listing would increase scrutiny on Pakistan's financial transactions, restrict foreign investment foreign direct investment, and limit access to international loans from bodies like the IMF and the World Bank. A 2021 IMF study noted that grey-listed countries face an average 3% decline in FDI and 2.9% in portfolio inflows. This would exacerbate Pakistan's economic challenges, already strained by inflation and low reserves. India had earlier raised objections with the IMF on its bailout to Pakistan at its board meeting. Pakistan was under FATF monitoring from 2018 to 2022 to move its current proposal forward. India will need support from other FATF member nations as well. The FATF recently revised its criteria to focus on countries posing greater threats to the global financial system. The move aims to relieve pressure on least developed countries and prioritize high-risk jurisdictions. Only countries meeting certain conditions will be prioritized for active review, which includes in FATF members high-income countries, countries with financial assets above $10 billion US. LDCs will be exempt from active review unless they pose significant threat. If listed, they may get a 2-year observation period to improve compliance. Now, the Delhi government has issued an advisory after 23 new COVID-19 cases were reported in the national capital. While the infections are mild, authorities have asked hospitals to remain alert and ensure the availability of beds, oxygen supplies, medicines and vaccines. Health officials are verifying whether the reported cases are from local residents or people with recent travel history. As a cautionary step, all positive samples will be sent for genome sequencing to Lok Nayak Hospital to monitor for any new variants. This advisory comes amid a small rise in cases across India. The Union Health Ministry confirmed 257 COVID-19 cases nationwide on Wednesday, with similar mild trends being observed in other states. Earlier this week, top health officials, including the ICMR and central government hospitals, convened for a review meeting. The meeting focused on preparedness and monitoring in light of the recent uptick. Officials emphasized that there is no cause for concern, but early planning and readiness remain important to avoid any strain on healthcare services. COVID-19 cases have surged in several Asian countries, including Hong Kong, Singapore. In Thailand, over 30,000 new COVID-19 cases in just 5 days. The cause of this surge of COVID-19 cases in Asia is the JN1 variant and its related descendants, which are subvariants of the Omicron lineage. The World Health Organization has designated the JN1 as a variant of interest, though not yet a variant of concern. First identified in August 2023, the JN1 variant was classified by the World Health Organization as a variant of interest in December the same year. It is part of the Omicron BA.2.86 family and marks over 30 mutations. Its symptoms are similar to other Omicron variants, including fever, runny nose, sore throat and headaches. JN1 is spreading rapidly and can be more transmissible or better at evading the immune system. And at least 12 people have been injured in a knife attack at a railway station in the German city of Hamburg. The police said that they arrested a 39-year-old woman suspect following the mass stabbing spree. The attack unfolded at a busy central train station in downtown Hamburg, which is a hub for local, regional and long-distance trains. As per the reports, people on platform between tracks 13 and 14 were targeted by the assailants shortly after 6 p.m. in front of a waiting train. The police spokesperson said that the attacker had acted alone and there was no immediate information on a possible motive. He added that several people had sustained life-threatening injuries as well.
According to our initial findings, a 39-year-old woman is believed to have injured several people with a knife on a platform here at the main station at around 6 p.m. today. There are reportedly several people injured, including life-threatening injuries. The police then received several emergency calls. Our patrol was on the scene very quickly, was able to find the woman, spoke to her, and she was then arrested without resistance. She is currently in police custody.
Some of the victims in the attack were treated on board the waiting trains in the station. Visuals showed access to the platforms at one end of the station blocked off by police, and people were being taken into waiting ambulances. The railway operator, Deutsche Bahn, said that it was deeply shocked by the attack as it ordered the closure of 4 attacks at the station with delay and diversion of some long-distance trains. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz also expressed his sympathies for the victims and their families, while thanking emergency services for their quick response. Germany in recent months has been rocked by a series of violent attacks with often jihadist or far-right extremist motivations that have put security at the top of the agenda. The most recent attack on Sunday saw 4 people injured in a stabbing at a bar in the city. The investigation into the attack had been handed over to federal prosecutors after the Syrian suspect in the attack told the police officers that he had jihadist beliefs. All right, the 5th round of talks between Iran and the United States concluded in Rome. This latest round of talks, which is being mediated by Oman, comes amid growing skepticism in Tehran about chances of a deal as Washington hardens its position. Taking to social media, Oman's foreign minister, Badr Al-Busaidi said that while the discussions yielded some progress, they fell short of reaching a decisive outcome. The minister expressed hope that the remaining issues could be clarified in the coming days. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi says discussions with the United States over Tehran's nuclear program are complicated. Ahead of the meeting, Araghchi underlined existing fundamental differences with the United States, saying Tehran is open to its nuclear sites undergoing more inspections. But it will not have an agreement at all if Washington wants to prevent Iran from enriching uranium.
As they, American officials, have expressed in their interviews that they do not believe that any enrichment can continue in Iran, and they think that we should cease all enrichment activities. If that is their goal, there will be no deal. If they want to take away the right of the Iranian people to use nuclear energy peacefully, we will not have an agreement at all.
The talks that began in April are the highest level contact between the two sides since the United States quit a landmark 2015 nuclear accord during President Donald Trump's first term. Since returning to office, Trump has revived his maximum pressure campaign on Iran, backing talks but warning of military action if diplomacy fails. Under the terms of the 2015 nuclear deal, Iran agreed to only enrich uranium up to 3.67% purity for the next 15 years. But this February, nuclear watchdog International Atomic Energy Agency reported that Tehran had stockpiled uranium enriched to 60% purity and could swiftly move to 90%, which would be weapons grade. The IAEA report said that Iran has 274.8 kilograms of uranium enriched up to 60%, marking an increase of 92.5 kilograms since the IAEA's last report in November. Iran wants a new deal that would ease sanctions, which have battered its economy. The last round of talks in the Omani capital Muscat ended with a public spat over enrichment. In an escalation of the ongoing fight between Harvard University and President Donald Trump, the Harvard University has sued the U.S. administration against its decision to revoke its eligibility to enroll international students. The Ivy League university said that the U.S. government's action violates the First Amendment and will have an immediate and devastating effect for Harvard and more than 7,000 visa holders. Previously, Harvard also called the move unlawful and warned that it would harm not just the university, but the broader American academic landscape. Meanwhile, a U.S. judge issued a temporary block on the Trump administration's policy aimed at barring foreign students from remaining in the country if their courses were entirely online. The move by the Trump administration is sending shockwaves far beyond the United States, threatening the future of thousands of international students. It delivers a significant financial and reputational blow to one of the world's most prestigious academic institutions. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem has written to Harvard University stating that existing foreign students will have to transfer to other universities in order to maintain their F1 or J1 visa statuses. She said existing foreign students will not be able to maintain their visa status with Harvard anymore. Beijing, in its sharp response, is accusing the United States of politicizing educational exchanges and vowing to safeguard the rights and interests of Chinese students and scholars studying in the United States.
China-U.S. educational cooperation is mutually beneficial, and China has always opposed the politicization of this cooperation. Such actions by the U.S. side will only damage its own image and international credibility. China will firmly safeguard the legitimate rights and interests of overseas Chinese students and scholars.
Free academia, of course, belongs to the core of liberal democratic societies and is an integral part of our liberal democratic basic order. The freedom of academia and international exchange are crucial foundations for scientific, social, and economic progress. Restrictions on academic freedom are restrictions of democracy itself.
Now, for more on this, the correspondent Susan Tehrani sent us this report from New York. Let's listen to this.
A federal judge has temporarily blocked the Trump administration's order that barred Harvard from enrolling international students. The ruling, issued late on Thursday, means nearly 6,800 foreign students can remain at Harvard while the legal battle plays out. the Department of Homeland Security had accused Harvard of policy violations and cited pro-Palestinian protests as part of the justification. Harvard sued immediately, calling the move illegal and politically driven. The court's intervention is a major win for the university and a high-profile clash over academic freedom, immigration, and federal overreach. And so, the story continues. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
Formula One turns to the iconic streets of Monte Carlo for the Monaco Grand Prix. Four-time world champion Max Verstappen has reignited the championship battle after clinching victory in the first race of the triple header in Imola. Just 22 points separate Verstappen and McLaren duo in the top three. Monaco remains the shortest and slowest circuit on the F1 calendar and the race with the highest lap count at 78. Lewis Hamilton and Verstappen have previously criticized the event, with the Dutchman remarking last year, "This is really boring, I should have brought my pillow." In an effort to make the race more exciting, a new rule will be introduced this year, a mandatory 2-pit stop. This change means drivers must now use at least 3 different sets of tyres, featuring a minimum of 2 different compounds over the course of the race.
Yeah, I think, it will spice it up probably a bit more, because normally, when you have that one stop, once you have a good pit stop and everything is fine, then you drive to the end. You just have to stay focused and not hit the barrier. But maybe with a 2-stop, it can create something different. People gambling, guessing, when the right time is to box. So hopefully it will spice it up a bit more.
Now, Charles Leclerc, aiming to defend his crown on home soil last year, he became the first driver to win the Monaco Grand Prix since Louis Chiron in 1931. Pole position is crucial in the Principality, where overtaking is rare. Leclerc has started from pole in 3 of the last 4 years. However, Ferrari has struggled this season, especially in slow corners. Their qualifying form hit a low in Imola last week, with both Leclerc and teammate Lewis Hamilton missing the top 10.
What is wrong with this car? I wish I knew. What's in the pipeline? We've got quite a few things, but I cannot give any timelines or whatsoever, and the timelines keep changing because the team is pushing a lot to bring them as early as possible. So there are things. Whether it's going to be enough to close the gap, to close the gap, I will hope so, but to be in front and fighting for wins, I'm not sure yet.
To arrive here in a Ferrari, it's mad. It's every weekend still is my first time with this team in all these different all these locations that we go to. But to drive a Ferrari around this track, I've always wondered what it's like to be in the garage surrounded by red here, and I'm going to get to experience that tomorrow. So I don't know if I'll sleep tonight. I'm really, really buzzing, really excited.
And a third Visiting World is now opened up at a theme park Epic Universe in Florida's Orlando. Take a look.
We wanted to bring to life the Ministry of Magic from the movies, from the books, at full glamour, full glory, full scale. And that's, I think, what we did. And so when guests walk in, I think they will see the level of immersion, the level of detail, and just really have an amazing time. feel like they were in the movies, and the technology helps bring that to life in such a new way. But also we have scenes that we've done things that we've never done before. There's so many layers now of technology, and so being able to work with so many different specialties to bring it together was so incredible.
And with that, we call a wrap on this edition of World DNA. News and updates will continue on the other side on WION World is One. Stay tuned.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
This week on Tech It Out, we bring you some interesting gadgets from the recently concluded tech show Computex 2025. We show you how AI is transforming science labs, and we tell you about the delivery box scam, yet another scheme targeting online shoppers. This and more on WION World is One at these times.
On Wings this week, we highlight iconic tourist spots in Telangana as the state gears up to host Miss World 2025. Also on the show, how tourists flock to an elephant camp in Tamil Nadu. We also feature colorful festivals around the world, only on WION World is One.
मैं सबसे पहले एक बात इस सदन में जिम्मेदारी के साथ बताना चाहता हूं, 21 मार्च 2026 को इस देश से नक्सलवाद समाप्त।
This week on the West Asia Post, aid trucks enter Gaza after 3 months, but they bring only a fraction of food and supplies that the Palestinians need. As voices against Israel's Gaza operations grow louder, the Israeli Prime Minister vows to bring all of the Strip under his control. Also on the show, we talk about Israel's plan to strike Iran and Tehran's new plan to build a security wall.
Watch the West Asia Post with me, Redi Francis, at these times only on WION World is One.
Dive into the world of tokenization with me on Token Money Magnet, only on WION.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
very warm welcome. You're watching WION World is One with me, Diksha Bisla. Let's start this bulletin by quickly taking a look at the headlines.